What is up, everybody? Force here, back once again with some more Overwatch news. First up today, we've got a bug, but this isn't a new one. It's actually been around for quite a while. It was just recently sort of resurfaced and brought to our attention. I guess we'd call this the no respawn bug. Now, this works as follows. When the respawn timer hits 0 at the exact moment that the enemy team caps a point, and as such moves the respawn location for the defending team, the respawning player won't actually respawn. Now, quite recently, this happened to popular Overwatch streamer Tim the Tatman. Brought up something that has been around since, I guess, the game launched. I've seen numerous reports and even older videos of people experiencing this same problem. The fix for this is fairly simple. All you gotta do is disconnect and reconnect to the match, and you know, that seems easy enough and quite simple, but the biggest problem is that if this happens in a competitive match, first of all, the time it takes to realize that you've been bugged out and then decide to actually disconnect and reconnect, in that process, that could be enough time for your team to lose the game. You're down a man for what could be a good 30 seconds, a minute, depending on how long it takes you to realize, disconnect, and then reconnect back into the match. So that's kind of a big problem. In fact, in Tim's case, in the clip that kind of brought about this story, that's what happened. They ended up losing the game due to his time away from the match and realizing that he had encountered a bug. Because it's not going to happen instantaneously. If you don't respawn, you might wait a second and be like, I don't know, maybe this will sort itself out. Something funky is happening. Maybe the timer reset or, you know, whatever. But no, eventually you'll realize that at no point you're going to respawn, and your only choice is to disconnect and reconnect. So yeah, this isn't a new bug. It has been around, but it's good to, I guess, bring it to the forefront. Maybe Blizzard will look into this. I think the reason maybe it's been around for as long as it has is because it's kind of a rare situation. I mean, how often is it going to be the case that you respawn at the exact moment, not a second before or second after, but the exact moment that the enemy team finishes capping off a point and as such moving your respawn location? That's not going to happen all that often. It's a very, kind of the stars have to align situation. So second up today, I want to let you guys know, if you haven't already, that the Overwatch World Cup 2017 is in full swing. We're in the process of getting everything started for the actual competition, the actual events. Right now, we are in the phase where you can pick your representative for your nation. So if you don't know, the Overwatch World Cup consists of teams representing of 32 nations that will be battling for glory at the next BlizzCon. Now, last BlizzCon, admittedly, it was kind of a bit of a debacle because the voting process for the nations teams was left up entirely to players and viewers. I guess people like you, people who watch YouTube videos or Twitch channels about the game. With that voting process, you get people who have large fan bases that make Overwatch content, be it YouTubers or streamers. They are much more likely to get a ton of people to rally behind them and vote for them into the teams. And so last year at the Overwatch World Cup, we had a lot of teams that were filled up with a bunch of Overwatch personalities that maybe weren't as good as pro players, and that's totally fine. That's totally, it's reasonable. In fact, by and large, with very few exceptions, like my buddy Siegel, he is a really good personality, really easy to relate to, connect to, and people really like him, and he's got great content on YouTube, and obviously he streams on Twitch. You know, he's gonna get a good audience to vote for him, no problem. But a majority of the other pro players, they're just not the same. And there's nothing good or bad about that. There's just different skill sets when it comes to producing content and then being a good player. Those two things don't necessarily cross over each other. And again, that's totally fine, not good nor bad, just different skill sets, that's it. So basically what happened is you get a ton of people voted in that weren't necessarily the best players, and so teams got absolutely demolished. There'd be entire nations that would be, say, nothing but YouTubers that weren't necessarily the best players, and they just got absolutely stomped all over. Now, Blizzard is trying to prevent this from happening again, so this time they are having a voting process, but it's not for the players on the teams, it's just for a representative committee helping to not only promote the Overwatch World Cup, but also select players and give Blizzard suggestion for the strongest team from the region. if you have an account, you can vote for 3 candidates from your region. For example, for my region, I can vote for Doa, Hexagram, Captain Planet, Stir, Kai Kai, Monte Cristo, Scribe, Flame, ZP, or Jason Kaplan. You might be familiar with some of these names, or a lot of them might not be too familiar with you, but these are all people who have, to one degree or another, been involved in the Overwatch esports scene. These are going to be people that will be good for picking a team from my region, as well as promoting the event to people outside of it. This is all great. I suggest you go and vote for people, but I did also want to briefly touch on, I guess we'd call a bit of drama that happened with the Overwatch competitive subreddit, because a lot of them evidently weren't happy with some of the UK candidates. It appears like a lot of the UK candidates were more personalities than pro players. Stylosa, Ryan Central, one amongst many. Great Overwatch YouTubers here. If you don't already check them out, I suggest doing so. But there was like this big uproar, and I read the thread, and it was so disappointing because everyone was basically shitting on, it was focused on Sty in particular, Unit Lost, as you might also know him. Everyone was shitting on the fact that he was a candidate for the committee. A, I think we need to realize this is for the committee, not for the players. But B, a lot of the argument was that, you know, why should someone like Stylosa, we don't like his videos, we don't like the type of content that he makes. He does these, I don't know, he does the overanalyzed videos, and people are trashing on that, saying that he gives terrible suggestions. Guys, look, it goes far beyond just being the best players. First of all, none of these people are the best players, because if they were, they wouldn't be being voted for the committee, they would be potential candidates for the actual team. So these are all, as it stands, people that aren't even good enough to be on the pro team. We've already established that line. But you also have to realize that there's a balance that Blizzard's doing here. They want people involved, not only that might be the most pro or give the best suggestions or whatever, but they want people involved that are also going to help hype up and promote these things, or people involved that they think care about Overwatch esports. So you might ask, well, Force, what about your region? You're an Overwatch YouTuber. You're similar to Sty. He's basically, we're basically the same YouTube channel after all. You know, why weren't you on the candidates list? Probably because I've openly and vocally expressed a lack of interest in the Overwatch esports scene. Like, I've tried to get into it numerous times, but frankly, it bores me to tears. I think there needs to be a lot of work with a spectator system. I think just the game flow in general compared to other esports that I actively watch for games that I don't even play. I watch more esports for Counter-Strike, and I haven't touched that game in years. I play Overwatch every day, but you'd have to seriously yank my arms out of my shoulder to put me in a position where I'm going to watch an Overwatch esports competitive match. Like, it's really, I just have little to no interest in it. But you've got people like Stylosa who repeatedly express interest in competitive, high-level play and in the esports scene. Now, admittedly, the Overwatch esports scene has kind of been laying low, if not dead, since the announcement of the Overwatch League, which we're still waiting to hear more details on that. It's supposed to be coming later this year, and that's something that could potentially maybe reignite my interest in the Overwatch League. But as it stands right now, yeah, I don't care about competitive Overwatch. I love Overwatch. I play it every day. I'm really passionate about it and the community, but the competitive side, the esports games, I just don't care. But someone like Stylosa really cares, and he's going to get out there. He's going to promote this thing to his audience. He's got a huge audience. He is probably one of the best people if we're looking at someone who cares about high-level competitive play / the esports scene, and who also has a big audience. As I mentioned earlier, besides someone like Siegel, you're not going to get someone who has as much reach other than someone like Stylosa. There's a lot of really amazing pro players. A lot of these people on this list in my region that I just mentioned, representatives here for the States, they're great people too. They don't have a tenth of the audience that someone like Sty has. So he's going to do a great job of promoting this thing. He clearly cares about it much more than someone like I do. So I don't think he or Ryan Central or one amongst many, as I mentioned, other great YouTubers who also care about this stuff, I don't think anyone but them is going to be a great choice for a committee. They're just a committee. They're going to give Blizzard suggestions, and they're also going to have other people advising them as to who the best team was. I don't think they're going to just fucking think of it as a joke and pick whoever. I strongly believe they're going to pick great players. So I just kind of wanted to vent out about that. I think there's a big disconnect just on the competitive side of a lot of games, and also realize this is coming from someone who also cares about competitive gaming by and large. I've voiced my grievances with competitive Overwatch, yes, but I'm also, like, just last week I tweeted out I was in the top 100 of Battlegrounds players, and that's a game with a pretty sizable audience. Like, that's pretty respectable. I care about the competitive, the ladder stuff. It's just, I think Overwatch competitive has a bit of problems. So you got to take people who are passionate about it, but the size of their audience also is going to make a difference, and it's obviously something Blizzard considered when they came up with this nominee list. So I think it's just something to consider. All right, guys, well, a little bit of a vent on that. Just wanted to keep you guys up to date and give you some of my thoughts on that. Make sure you go out and vote for your committee representatives for the Overwatch World Cup for your particular region. That is going to do it for me here today. As always, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good one, and until next time, I'll see you later.